Hi guys, welcome to Hoops Junction. Today we're talking about the Los Angeles Clippers, and the question remains: are the Clippers being targeted by referees? Now, when you do the eye test, it doesn't look good for the Clippers, but they're not getting targeted. I think what is happening with the Clippers is basically they think they warrant enough respect to get certain calls from referees. Even if you watch the game against the Warriors that they played a couple of nights ago, they felt as if they weren't getting calls their way. Chris Paul bumped an official trying to show him something, and that's not good. That's no bueno. So they're not being targeted. I think essentially they're targeting the referees. They're trying to point out what the referees aren't doing. You know what I'm saying? And instead of pointing out what they're not doing on the court and playing better and playing to their full potential, they're just pointing out what the referees are not doing. If you notice, when they were winning games and they were number one in the West, they weren't complaining to any refs. And then when they went on that 3-4 game slide and they were losing games, or they lost 4 out of 6, all of a sudden the referees became a problem. When they were winning, the referees were not a problem. But when they're losing, the referees become a problem. So basically, what that's trying to tell us is that when they're winning, it's because they feel mentally when they're winning, it's because the referees are on their side. When they're losing, they believe mentally that it's because it has something to do with the referees. Because you'll notice that Doc Rivers recently got ejected this year. Chris Paul has always been on the referees, but it's increased since he's been in LA. Blake Griffin always on the referees. Like, everybody on the Clippers are out for the referees. They'll like sit there and have full blown conversations with them. And I don't want to target the Clippers and say like they're whiny babies or anything like that. But it's just the perception that they have and the reputation that they built. Like, they constantly nag and work on the referees to the point where the referees don't even listen to their issues. They don't listen to their qualms. They're just like, oh, that's CP3, whatever. I'm not gonna think about it. When in all actuality, maybe a guy is pushing off. Maybe a guy is going over the back. But just for the simple fact that this referee has refereed your game 4 out of 5 times in the past, 6 nights or 8 nights or 10 nights, and he knows that you whine, he's not gonna take your issue seriously, and that's not good. It's like the boy who cried wolf. He cried wolf one time, and they went to go look for it. It wasn't actually 100% true. It was false. And then now when there's a real wolf in the town and he's crying wolf, guess what? That's what's happening to the Clippers. They cried wolf way too many times, and now the referees just aren't respecting them. At the end of the day, it all starts with leadership at the top. Doc has to find a more suitable way and manner to speak to the referees. He has to scream less and prove his point more. He has to use the rule book, use the rules, and point out the rules and say, here's a good way he could do. He could say, hey, I might be wrong, but I believe, in the rule book, that's a travel. I might be wrong, but I believe when you dribble the ball, pick it up, dribble again, that's double dribble. You know what I'm saying? Little things. They need to build a better rapport with the officials. But the bottom line is the officials are not making them lose games. Like, let's be clear here. They're not losing games over controversial calls or anything. Most of the games that they lose, besides the one they lost to the Nets with the whole technical foul, even then they still had a chance to win the game. The games that they're losing, they're getting blown out. Either getting blown out or they're just getting beat. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the referees. And it's very sad to see them whine like this because the Clippers have a squad. Like, on paper, and if you were just to like look at the starting 5, they have a squad. They have the defensive center, like one of the best, if not the best defensive center in the NBA. They have Blake Griffin, who can score, get you 20 and 10, get crazy rebounds, score, tough to handle. You have CP3, one of the best point guards in the NBA, period. He's the top 10 player in my book. So, just looking at, and then you have JJ Redick, who's a knockdown shooter. Then the Clippers have a bench. They have Spates. They have Wesley. They have They have Jamal Crawford. They have players. It's just the mentality is not there to the point where, look, man, we're above this. We're not gonna whine to the referees all day and night. So they're saying if you look at like the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Golden State Warriors or the Spurs, yeah, they'll have an issue with a referee, but ultimately you'll kind of see them. They'll elevate their game and get into the zone where it doesn't matter what the referees are doing. It doesn't matter what the fans are doing. It just matters what I'm doing. You see that in LeBron. You see that in Curry. And for some reason, you're just not seeing that from the Clippers players. You're not seeing that attitude where I don't care what you call. I don't care if I'm gonna force you to call this call because I'm gonna drive to the basket 10 times now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna force you to call this charge because I'm gonna take 3 more charges till you start calling it, and I'm not gonna argue about it. You don't see that. It's just so weird. It's just like, to me, there's like a mental block there. It's a block where they know that they're good. They think that they're good. They think that they're warranted on these calls, but they don't know that they're good. And that's the difference. Thinking you're good, it's like, hey, man, I think I deserve this. Hey, I think I deserve a raise. Hey, I think I deserve this job. Knowing that you deserve something is different. Because when you know you deserve something, you don't get upset about it. You just know that it's coming to you. Like it doesn't matter who says what, who does what, when, where, and why. Guess what? It's still coming to you. So like the Clippers, it's like they don't know like that they're that good to the point where they don't need to work on these referees. There's no need to work on the referees. Like we're not even in the playoffs yet. Like you do stuff like that in the playoffs when you're trying to set a precedent and hey, they do this all the time and you work on the referees. Regular season, there's no need to do it. There's no need at all. They need to leave the referees alone. Even Mo Spates, who just got on the Warriors squad, said we need to leave the referees alone. And they need to take his advice. But the bottom line is they're putting too much stake into what the referees are doing. And that's why they've lost a lot of games recently. Because they've been so focused on the officiating. They're not picking up defensively. They're turning the ball over. They're not focused. They're not mentally sharp. They're not rooting for each other. That's another thing. They're not even rooting. They can't even root for each other or get into a rhythm because they're so busy arguing with officials. You know, I watched the game. I think it was against Cleveland, yeah. And mind you, they beat Cleveland by like 20-some-odd points. Blew them out. And Doc Rivers, even with the lead, you know, he's like, that's a bad call. That's a bad call. It's just like, okay, we know it's a bad call, but you have the lead. Like it doesn't even matter anymore at this point. You have the lead. Like sometimes you gotta know, you know, when to fight and when to put it down. And that was an instance where Doc Rivers could have just put it down. We know. And basically, what they have to do is this. They have to get either a PR person or a sports psychologist or even a team builder, you know, somebody that runs seminars. They have to teach them how to have crucial conversations. There's a book called Crucial Conversations. They have to read that book and they have to put that in application. They have to say, you know, they have to approach the refs with more respect, and then they'll get more respect from the referees. You know what I'm saying? They have to stop jumping them down every call and learn how to be calm every call. And then and there, they'll start to get the calls that they want. But at the end of the day, the calls don't even matter. If you're watching their games, it's basically, it starts and ends with them. They're losing and winning games because of themselves. It's not because of the officiating. It's not because they're being targeted, which they're not. You know what I'm saying? They're being ignored. They're not being targeted. They're being ignored because they cried wolf so many times. So it starts and it ends with them, and I hope they can see that they could turn this around. The same way that they feel it's a certain way, they could turn that feeling around and just play basketball. Because at the end of the day, the game is played on the court. It's not played with the whistle, with the officials. It's not, the officials don't score for you. The officials don't box out for you. They don't rebound for you. They don't make sure that you don't turn the ball over. And that's the most important thing. This is Vlad from Hoops Junction, where Hoops meets Hoopla. Like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.